Lisa, you can take it from here.
Okay. I am in the process. We're waiting for a couple seconds for it to finish getting live on YouTube, um, and then we'll start off.
You know what? I did want to say I'm looking forward to the great things you're going to do. It's making us special here in the Valley.
Okay, looks like we are live. All right. So I guess we're just a few minutes late, but at 3:34, we'll call the first meeting of the College Place Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Board to order. Um, and the first thing on our agenda is a roll call. So two of the members did notify me that they would be unavailable for this meeting. Those were Susan Sullivan and David Lopez. So we will excuse both of them today. For the rest of the members, please just unmute yourself and say present so that we've got it for the verbal record for anyone just listening when I call your name. Walt Mesky, you have to unmute yourself first.
Okay, no,
Present.
Thank you. Kayleen Pike.
Present.
And did I pronounce that correctly?
Kaylin.
Kaylin. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Nadine Steckline.
Present.
Donald Pons.
Present.
Thank you. Ruben Hernandez.
Present.
All right. We also have joining us City Administrator Mike Rizzatello, Human Resource Director Sean Doring, City Attorney Ree Colwell, and of course, Mayor Hernandez introduced herself at the very beginning. The next thing we'd like to do is just to go through and probably in the same order that I called your names for roll call. Just tell us a little bit about yourself so we get to know each other just a little bit and know why it was your desire to be on this commission. So Walt, you will go first.
Okay, I'll give you a little bit of background here. I came from a family, my parents were born in Russia, but they were Germans from Russia, came to America. My mother was the oldest of 15 children. My dad was the middle of 12 children. My parents had 13 children, and I was a fourth in that group of 13. My folks lost their farm in North Dakota during the Depression, 1936. And with the large family that we had, we were very, very poor. I was considered in school and wherever I went, wherever our family went, we were considered second grade type people. And that had a tremendous effect on my life. And that's one reason, along with my desire to live the kind of life that should be like we should live, to love one another. That's why I wanted to be on this committee.
Thank you. Kaylin?
Yeah, hi, my name is Kaylin. I am a teacher at College Place High School. And the reason that I found it so important to be part of this group was mostly because I want to know how we can make College Place a safe place for all of my students and all incoming diverse backgrounds of people.
Thank you. I also did just receive a message that David Lopez is listening by phone. So, okay. Nadine?
Hello, my name is Nadine Steckline. I'm resident of College Place. I work at Walla Walla Community College as the Director of Student Life. I was really excited when I heard about this advisory board initially being created. I had to jump on it. I really have a passion for creating more inclusive events and some energy around diversity. I'm interested to see how the city defines diversity and inclusion. And you'll find me saying equity a lot because that's something that I associate with those two words. So I'm really just kind of wanted to add being myself. I say I am Mexican Rican. I'm half Mexican and half Puerto Rican, um, and also first generation college student, um, and a couple of other things where I can bring that perspective. So I know diversity doesn't just include ethnicity. It also includes ability. And so I want to bring that voice as well, ask folks who have different abilities, how we can make this city and service more accessible to them.
Thank you. Donald.
Hello, my name is Donald Pons, and I am currently the new dean of students for Sagar Middle School. I've been a special education teacher here in College Place for 6 years. Before that, I was at Renton School District on the west side, and really loved working in that city. But I love it here in this community. I love the school district, and I love the city of College Place. And so, as you guys are aware of the current climate of our nation and things that are going on, I just want to be a part of the solution. I don't want to sit back, and I have a passion to have that equality, have equity in all things, and I want to uplift those who are marginalized. And I think that this advisory board serves that purpose. And so for me to get in, to be a part of it, so you guys can hear my voice, where I'm coming from, I think it's great. And so I look forward to working here and working with everybody. So yeah, thank you.
And Ruben.
Yes, my parents, my folks moved to the U.S. when I was 5 years old, and the first place we moved was College Place. So that was when I was 5, and that's been 32 years now. And so I have a passion for our community, College Place in Walla Walla. And so going to college, moved back to College Place, raising a family. So I want to be part of that solution, giving back to our community and serving those underserved, for those that live in Valle Lindo. The schools, now that I have kids that are going through the elementary schools and everything, I wanna be there and be part of that. And so I love to serve and help the community, and I'm really passionate about that. So I'm thankful and thrilled to be part of this group.
Excellent. So Sergeant Parker just joined us. So everybody knows him. Probably either he or Chief Tamaris, who was not available today, but one of them will work with you on a regular basis. We also have our city administrator, Mike Rizzatello. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mike Rizzatello. I'm city administrator here. I've worked here now for almost 4 years. This is very important work to me. I grew up on south side of Chicago, lived in Riverdale, Illinois in the Ivanhoe projects for a while, and then was in Burbank. Grew up very poor, so that had an impact on me. First generation college student as well. Worked in factories for a long time, and then have my bachelor's degree in urban planning and my master's in public administration, both from University of Illinois. And then worked in the South Side for a council of government for a long time, and representing the 40 43 south suburbs of Chicago. Then worked for City of Beaverton, Oregon in economic development, and also helped provide staff support to their diversity board that started about 7 years ago. And then was city manager of Colfax for a period, and then here for 4 years. And then my grandparents, they directly immigrated here from Melfi, Italy. So there's that connection as well. Still have quite a few family back in the southern periphery of Italy.
Ms. Colwell, our city attorney, would you like to say anything?
I will just introduce myself. A little bit of background is I grew up in Tri-Cities. Don't hold it against me. I went to college and graduated at Whitman College. Then I went on to law school at Emory Law School in Atlanta, Georgia, where I spent 3 years there. I have been working in county government as either a deputy prosecutor or a prosecutor for, let's see, almost 20 years. I know I look young. And so what I want to bring, I'm not a board member, but what I want to be involved. I can bring what I can bring to the table is how the criminal justice system impacts our community, and give you, what we've done in Washington State to try to combat the disproportionality that we see in our criminal justice system. So just here for eyes and ears and to bounce ideas off. And thank you for letting me be part of it.
Our Human Resources Director, Sean Doring, do you have anything you want to say?
Sure. I grew up in the area. I worked here for the City of College Place for about 13 years in several different positions, in the HR position for the last 3 years. And I'm looking forward to how you all can help us with our hiring and recruitment and hiring process to ensure that it's more equitable and diverse.
Sergeant Parker, would you like to say anything?
Just that I'm filling in for Chief Tamaris. He's on vacation, and I'll be taking notes. He told me briefly what this diversity coalition was, but I don't think I have any input at this point.
All right, thank you. I am the city clerk for the City of College Place. I will be your staff liaison and take care of minutes, agendas, all of that kind of thing for you. Feel free to reach out to me. I don't know a lot about the diversity inclusion, things like the other members can bring to the table, but I do have a lot of knowledge when it comes to meeting procedure, things like that. So I'm here to help you through that, and let you know what you can and can't do as a board member, and that sort of thing, so that we follow all the rules of the state and open government, things of that nature. And with that, Mayor Hernandez, do you have anything you'd like to say to the group?
Well, just again, welcome everybody. And I loved hearing all your backgrounds, and it's exciting to see what each of you are going to bring to the discussions. I'm thrilled that we have a range of ages, backgrounds, genders, education. It's perfect. It's what we needed to have to start this team off. So I am grateful to all of you, and seeing that what, as it was said, finding the solutions, it's going to be exciting. And I think it's going to be interesting because we're probably going to discover problems that some of us never even knew were there. And so how to combat those or how to address those is something I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all. I'm just an observer. I'm not here to make any input other than watch. I just want to see how you work and be wowed by you all. So thank you again.
Okay. So with that, our next agenda item, I just want to go over Have you all had an opportunity to log into the board docs, the meeting packet agenda portal, and kind of see how that works? And if you have any questions about that, feel free to contact me at any time or ask during the meeting. And then also, what we try to do, especially with these virtual meetings, so that we make sure that we have good and fair discussion and we get input from everybody, or at least everybody has an opportunity to give input, is whoever the chair, which you guys will be electing at a later time in this meeting, whoever the chair is that's running the meeting will start off the discussion by going through the people and giving each member of the commission an opportunity to speak. And then typically after that, we use the little raise hand button. And if you all look at your, down at the bottom of your panelist deal, you should have a raise hand option. I don't quite see it the same way as you guys do on my end. So is everybody able to find that? Let me just show you so if you click on your participants button on the main menu, it will bring up another little window that looks like this. And at the bottom of that window, you should have a raise hand option. And so if you click that, it'll bring up a little raised hand, and I will, myself and whoever the chair of the meeting is, will have the ability to see those hands raised. Any host, co-host can see the hands raised, and we'll try to make sure that we get to everybody and everybody's got an opportunity to give their input, because that's what we want from you. So, are there any questions about that process? Okay. So the next part, I guess I'm going to talk a lot on this meeting, I'm sorry. The next part is we need to talk about the Open Public Meetings Act, because this is a large group, and part of the meaning of this group is for community interaction and involvement, but we have to be careful that we are not violating the Open Public Meetings laws. So let me get this going here. So basically, I just kind of took in your agenda packet, this link right here will take you to an open government training website, this website here. And everybody that is on a commission needs to go through this training. You need to do at least lesson 1, 2, and 3. 4 and 5 are not a big deal, but you have to have 1, 2, and 3 in order for you to, within 90 days, in order for us to make sure that you have thoroughly been informed about what the rules are with state law regarding open public records and open public meetings. So I'm going to go over the open public meetings part just because it's the easiest part to have what they call an accidental meeting. And we want to make sure you guys are aware of how that can happen. So let me get my control going here. So the OPMA was passed in 1971, and it requires all meetings to be open to the public, and it defines what's considered to be a meeting, because sometimes what you think would not necessarily be considered a meeting actually does constitute a meeting in the definition of the OPMA. So, and its purpose is to make sure that government is transparent to the people it serves. All actions by a governing body are and their committees and boards, commissions are all to be taken openly and deliberations conducted openly. A governing body is any multi-member board. So like for the city, it's our city council and any committee, board, advisory commission of that agency when they will be doing any of these three things here. Acting on behalf of the governing body, conducting hearings, or taking public testimony or public comment. It is very possible and likely that you guys would at the very minimum take public testimony and public comment. So your board is subject to the Open Public Meetings Act. So, and what is a meeting? A meeting, please note this definition of action includes a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily consider a meeting. But a meeting means anything, any meetings at which the public agency takes action. So anytime at least 4 of you are together or virtually together or email or phone call, which I just prefer that not happen, just an FYI, and I'll explain that a little bit later. Anytime there's at least a quorum, and 4 is a quorum, that is a meeting. So you just need to be aware of that definition. So a meeting doesn't necessarily have to be a physical presence or even virtual meeting. If, for instance, you had each other's email addresses and an email, even if it was through a chain email, went like 2 people were talking and then somebody forwarded it to another one, somebody forwarded it to another one. As soon as that 4th person is involved in any way, shape, or form, it's a meeting. And since it wasn't open to the public, it's a violation. So that is one of the reasons why if you get emails from me, you guys will always be blind carbon copied. So I don't, that way, if you reply to me, you're replying to me only and not to the whole board. Because as soon as you reply all, always try and never hit that reply all, just reply to me. Because as soon as you reply all, you've violated the Open Public Meetings Act. So please don't phone each other. It just, there's no way with an email or a telephone conversation for it to be public. So we appreciate that. We want you to save your board discussions for board meetings. And then final action is what typically people would think of as action. So it's either a vote or a collective decision about a subject matter that's under discussion. Traveling. Did someone have a question? Okay. Travel and gatherings. So anytime at a gathering or anything of that nature that there may be a quorum of you together. First off, if we're traveling for something, we would never have a quorum of you traveling together. And then we would always ask if you're traveling, even if it's just 2 of you together, don't discuss anything related to the business of the board. And anytime you're going to be attending like a community function or something of that nature where you think there's a good chance that there would be a quorum of you in attendance, let me know. If I know at least 24 hours in advance, then I can do a public notice of a potential quorum, and then we're covered. It has to be, anything you would attend would have to be open to the public. So there's just some little things there that we need to make sure we're aware of since we're all sitting on this, or since you're all sitting on this board. But it's really easy for me to do a notice of potential quorum, and that keeps us from violating. So just appreciate that. There are enforcement and penalties. and the court is pretty, I don't know if Ree wants to talk to this, or the Open Public Meetings Act is very broadly defined, and they do impose penalties.
And they're mandatory penalties, so it's not something that you can say, oh, we really tried really hard to do what was right, don't impose a penalty, but they have to.
So just like this meeting today, since we couldn't meet in person, we're doing it virtually. We have to be able to live stream that also, because we have to, and allow telephone listening. We can't make any conditions on a person being able to, public being able to view the meeting. So if somebody didn't have access to the computer or online, then we offer and publicize that telephone number that they could listen through as well. So we don't have any ability to require the public to do something in order to be able to attend a meeting. We do, however, we are not required to put up with interruptions or disruptions. The meetings are your guys' meetings. They are held for you to conduct your business of the board, and not necessarily for grandstanding or someone else to come in and take over your meeting. It's your meeting. If you want to hear public testimony, that is your prerogative and your option. And we have a place in the agendas for public comments. But as long as it doesn't disrupt your agenda for the day, is what the work that your board has planned to get done. So that's, you don't have to let somebody hijack your meeting, basically. Oh, apparently I did this slide twice, sorry. There are violations. I am the person who will be doing your minutes. Minutes are required by law, and they are a permanent record. So once we're no longer needed at the city, then we send them to the state archives, and they are kept forever. We do only do action minutes. So basically a lot of the conversation back and forth in the discussion, that is in the recorded version that we keep, but in the written signed minutes that we do, it's just your motions and your actions of decisions made. That's what is included in the minutes. So basically for risk management with regards to this, they want us to have a culture, which the city does, practice and intend on complying with the Open Public Meetings Act for all of our councils, commissions, committees, and boards. And so we want to start off right off the bat with everybody that's on one of our boards and commissions knowing that that's the expectation. Sometime as soon as you guys get a chance, other than I believe Nadine has already done this because she serves on another board. But I would like you to get your open government training taken care of. When you get that finished, there's a template for you to fill out a certificate of training. The Open Public Records and Meetings Act portions are the ones that I really need you guys to do. If you want to do the records retention and management, you're more than welcome to, if you have that much time and interest. Then you just put in, obviously, your name and the date that you did it, the city of College Place for the sponsor name, and you would check the online training and just list the website, this website here, the Open Government Training from the Attorney General's office. So, does anybody have any questions regarding that? I know it's kind of a boring subject, but Ms. Colwell?
If you want to share my contact information with everyone, and if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to me about that.
I will certainly do that.
Great.
Mr. Pons.
Is there, I've kind of been looking through it. Is there some kind of checkoff list that lets you know that we've went through the videos, or is it just
It is the honor system.
honor system? Okay.
It's the honor system.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right. The next process that we'll do, and you'll see we do this in each of our meetings, is we have what we call a consent agenda. And that typically will consist of a minimum of the agenda for the meeting today, that day, and the minutes for the previous meeting. Since this is our initial meeting, there are no minutes. But the way that we are set up, we do not require individual motions for consent agenda items. We follow the parliamentary procedure rule that we can have a consent agenda for items that are routine and don't need discussion, that have been provided to you in advance, and you'll always get your packets at least 2 to 3 days in advance. Then we can approve the consent agenda as a whole with one motion. So with that, the only thing on the consent agenda for today is the agenda, which you can always modify. And another thing, if you do have multiple items on the consent agenda and there's something that you want to talk about, you can request something be removed from the consent agenda and move down to the regular action agenda so that there can be discussion on it. Just FYI on that. But we would accept a motion. If no one has objections on the agenda for today, we would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you.
I second it. This is Walt Metzke.
All right, thank you. And so if, see Norma?
I'm
not
feeling you.
Okay, all those in favor? Say aye.
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 Same sign. All right. Consent agenda is passed, and we'll move on to the next item, which is a selection of a chair and vice chair. So does anyone want to volunteer for the chair position?
Can you please explain what that position entails?
The position of chair is mainly just like what I'm doing right now, running the meeting. You're still a full member of the board with rights to make motions, rights to vote, all of that. You just have the ability to call a meeting, where if a different member of the commission wanted to call a meeting, a special meeting or something of that nature, they would have to have multiple members of the commission calling a meeting. The chair does have the authority to call a meeting, just it's in their own authority. And then you would run the meetings. So if you have any parliamentary procedure background, or if you're interested in parliamentary procedure, it's a great way to learn.
I'm interested in the chair position. I run the student government, or I help run, I don't run it, the student government at the community college, and I teach them parliamentary procedures. So it would be nice to kind of put that into perspective and do that on my own too. And I'm really excited to, you know, be, I don't know if I'm self-nominating or what I'm doing, but you know, a part of history, essentially, kind of like Norma, Mayor Hernandez was saying, us being very unique in having this advisory board is something that just kind of it speaks to me, and it speaks a lot to the community as well.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like, oh, first off, I need a second on Nadine's motion.
I second Donald Pons.
And is there anyone else? We will do a second nomination if there is someone else that wants to do it as well. Going once, going twice. Okay. So Ms. Steckline has made a motion to appoint Ms. Steckline as chair of the board, seconded by Mr. Pons. And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, same sign. I thought I heard 5 ayes there. So, okay, Ms. Steckline, do you want to take over at this point, or do you want me to continue?
I could take over.
All right.
If you could jump in if I do something or need a little bit of a push or help. I'm trying to see. Thank you so much. Do we have a vice chair? Yeah, okay. Is that the next business?
That is the next item of business, yes.
Okay. So if anybody is willing or able to be the vice chair of this board, speak now. What you would do is if I wasn't available, you would be running the meetings and take the position of the chair. I believe that's the responsibilities of the vice chair at this moment.
That is correct.
I would
anyone
like
interested?
to, sorry, I would like to elect Donald Pons to that position.
Okay. Nomination for Donald Pons for vice chair. Do I hear any other nominations? Donald, do you accept the nomination as vice chair?
I do.
Okay.
We have a second for the motion.
I second that.
Okay. Second by Ruben Hernandez. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign.
Excellent.
Okay. Motion carries. I don't know if that goes. Okay. Perfect.
Sorry, my computer's being exceptionally slow today. I'm trying to move to the next item.
Okay. Is the next item? Oh, the dates.
Yes.
Recommendation. Okay. So regular meeting days. So we meet in the months of February, May, August, and November. So that means our next meeting would be held in November. And we need to select a day, like the first, second, or third. And what day of the week and time. Sorry. So the other commissions, you said you have their schedule. Perfect. So we want to be on a date that they are not on so that folks can tune in to those commissions and councils. So let's look at November. Okay. So let's see.
So also, the time of day is important as well. Does this time of day work for all of you?
I would like it to be later, possibly 4:30.
Okay.
I will. 4:30 is a good time for me.
Okay.
Are they 1 hour long?
You know, that is up to you guys.
I believe it depends on the business at hand, right? Depending on what's on the agenda. So if it's a packed agenda, it goes a little bit over than an hour. If it's not packed, then it's an hour or under. Just my experience. I was on the Utilities Commission and we had a lot to discuss. It was about 2 hours.
Yeah, that was an unusual meeting. That
it was, yes.
That was a big one. But the recommendation, just from me who handles a lot of the other meetings and knows what's going on, if you go for the third week of the month, doing a 4:30 meeting, you could do either Monday or Tuesday would be the best days to not conflict with anything else. The planning commission meeting doesn't start until 7 p.m. So you guys would be well finished. We're trying to make sure that we don't overlap, because while we're still virtual, our YouTube page only live streams one meeting at a time. And then once we are back to in-person meetings, we just have the one council chambers. So we try to make sure that we're not overlapping anywhere.
I would like it to be on Monday.
Monday.
I would agree for Monday on 4:30.
Yeah, Monday works for me.
Monday works for me.
Can I get a motion? Monday. So what Monday did we say? I'm sorry, what was that, Lisa, that you recommended?
The third Monday, I believe.
Okay, so third Monday.
That's what we're on right now.
Okay.
I would like to move to have our meetings the third Monday of every third month, whatever the timing is, at 4:30.
4:30. Okay.
So is there a second?
A second.
Oh, is there a second? Okay, a second for Walt. All in favor for 4:30 on the third Monday of the month? Aye. Say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, the motion carries. We will be meeting the third Monday of the months listed at 4:30 p.m. Let's see what's next on the agenda.
Sorry, interruption.
Oh, that's okay. We got the meeting time. So the next one is a biggie. It's purpose and goals. I think I looked that up on my sheet.
Yeah.
Yep. So for this, do city officials have some goals or some insight they want to give before we can get started and say what we individually think about in terms of goals for the board?
Mr. Riccatello, do you want to take this one?
Well, I mean, I really think it's important for us to basically listen rather than have a predisposed agenda. So what I was hoping for out of this board was that you would all come up with ideas and we could write them down and make a formalized list and then vote on it the next meeting and then begin our work.
Perfect. We could do that. So any of my fellow board members, I know as part of the application process, there was a question that was on there which said state your goals for the city, and if you specified it, you know, in terms of the role you would play on this board, and if you would like to share, you can raise your hand. Okay, Ria, would you like to share, or did you raise your hand for?
I just wanted to maybe, if anyone has the code section, so the law that we passed creating the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Board that has some of the, I assume it's goal oriented, so that might be something as of a jumping off point for you guys.
Gotcha. Okay, so the code would be something for us to have to look at to see kind of where to start, jumping off point. Okay, perfect.
And specifically, the section is 2-60-20.
Thank you. Oh, there it is. Okay, is it the powers and duties? The Diversity Inclusion Board is an advisory body of the City of College Place whose duties shall be to provide advice and recommendations to the mayor and city council about, and it reads, I don't want to read the whole thing, but I can summarize each one. Achieving the city's community vision concerning being a welcoming city. Um, there's a couple of other topics, recommending effective strategies for public engagement, removing barriers and increasing inclusion and access to city services for public, recommending opportunities for community partnerships, facilitating the building of relationships with underserved, underrepresented and marginalized communities, and serving as a trusted messenger for those communities. Advise the city on strategies that strengthen human rights, values, and principles, and perform such others' duties as the mayor or city council may direct. So those are, thank you so much for bringing that up. I think that that's great for us to kind of start with. Um, After looking at those, what are some kind of goals that you can think of? And this can be a brainstorming kind of session where Mike Rizzatello kind of said next time we can focus it in as far as what is something we can vote on, what topics we would like to cover or like to address. Um, if you want to speak, please raise your hand, put the little raise your hand icon. If not, I have some that are written that I would like to state. So I think one of the goals is to define diversity and inclusion. So it's mentioned here a couple times, but what do we mean by it? I think is something that we need to come to a agreement on as a board. I think creating a self-assessment, a diversity and inclusion self-assessment. There are other cities who have done that, and actually, Mr. Rizzatello, I was looking at the Beaverton advisory board. So that's interesting that you were a piece of that. I looked at a couple of their plans. I
Yeah.
looked at the folks that they have there. I really like their jumping off. Utilizing what exists is kind of my go-to model. If it's don't reinvent the wheel, as they say. um, I know that OFM has a workforce diversity and equity inclusion council. So the Office of Financial Management, they have some information and best practices. And let's see. I'm really happy to see the HR. I'm going to call you the director of HR, but the person in charge of HR here, Sean, because I think that hiring practices to ensure that they're equitable, recruitment strategies and hiring criteria is a goal for myself and for the city. I would say we have at the college, we use search advocates or equity ambassadors on the search committees to ensure that um, that the job description is equitable, that there's always going to be bias, but that there is someone there to catch the bias and say, hey, you know, you really had this bias towards that person, and they actually are competent. They are able to do that job. Let me tell you why. So the Oregon State University has the search advocates, and I did the training for a bit, and I do that in my work. And let's see. I think another important one is reviewing the city's language, policies, and plans. See if they are centered around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that they align with the city's values. So I know in the city plan, there is a mention of diversity and inclusion. So does that align with what the policies and procedures are, the services that our residents get? Um, uh, Another piece that I didn't see that I was going to ask a question is about like implicit bias training. And the trainings the employees get at the city, are they taking any kind of diversity trainings? I know that the police officers do need to take those kinds of training that's required for their work. Um, but are there other trainings that we could incorporate that other cities may use to make their workforce more intentional, more um, um, aware of possible biases? And then now I'll be quiet because I talked a lot. Does anybody else see any kind of direction or any kind of goals that they would want for this group? All right, I see some. Okay, perfect. Kaylin?
Thank you. Going back to my old speech and debate days, I feel like I need to like thank the chair for like picking on me. So I think that as an educator, the way I see kind of like my role is how are we going to get the students and their families involved in what it is that we're doing in our city. Because we can talk all day about being inclusive and having inclusive hiring practices and all those things, which are great. But I really want as a group for us to focus on how we can include families of all backgrounds, whether that be in a festival or some kind of an event, or just making sure that their voices are heard and that they are respected and that they are honored, and incorporating both the public schools and the private schools in our city into becoming a more diverse place. And so I think that a goal that we should have is trying to include the schools and the stakeholders that are in that in everything that we do.
Thank you so much. That's very important. Ruben.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great job, Kaylin and Nadine. One of my purpose or goals that I want to see be part of this is safety. You know, being an injury prevention coordinator as a traffic safety in College Place, it's really, really safe. But we want to continue that on the roads and more information in Spanish. You know, there's most of the population are people that live in College Place. While we have a really high population of Latino folks, and sometimes a lot of the forms are not in Spanish, and so I want to see that more. And the same thing, you know, the signs, phone calls, when we make phone calls, you know, having translators. I feel that we don't have enough secretaries that are bilingual in schools. Sometimes when we make phone calls, and this is coming as a parent that's bilingual. But imagine for those folks, especially now with COVID, with you know, the laptop information online. Sometimes they don't. A lot of the parents' educational background, they don't know how to manage or navigate things online. And so I want to see more of that help, you know, for the underrepresented, especially for the agricultural workers. And like I said, Valle Lindo, I used to have family, and I still know a lot of families that live there. And so I'm really passionate about that. And so that's what I want to see, some of the goals that I want to see.
Thank you, Ruben. Walt or Donald, if you want to add anything to that conversation as far as goals.
My goal for being on this committee is to figure out a way to support our police department. I think we have an excellent chief. I think we have an excellent program, but with the attitude in many cities where they're trying to defund police departments, I want to support our police department in a very strong way, and we need their help to know what we need to do to help them. And that's part of why I'm interested in being on this board. To support our police department.
Perfect.
I agree. Really, thank you, Walt, for that. We have an SRO here, Joey Langlewis, Officer Langlewis. He does a great job with our students here. Students love them, but I feel like there needs to be more education. So, in regards of the relationship between an officer's job and duty between the people in the community. So they are a part of the community. Joey is a part of our community, and all the kids love him here. So one of the things I would like for us to do is be proactive when things arise. Maybe not in our city, but neighboring cities. Is that we are proactive. We are actively getting out there, actively having conversations, so that if something were to happen, or how can we um, have a solution, a resolution to what has just taken place. So just being more proactive, being visible, obviously being inclusive to everything and everybody. That's what I would like to see. Just being more proactive about and being intentional about bringing and being an inclusive city. So.
Thank you, Donald. One of the things that I was going to ask, Lisa, if it's a possibility, you mentioned being more visible, and right now we can't be out there, tabling at city events. That's just not possible. Is there any way that we could have our pictures on the website and folks could just know our names, see our faces, see how diverse the group is, kind of like what Mayor Hernandez had mentioned, instead of just seeing our names there? If there's any way we can organize our photos be there, whether we submit a photo or I don't know.
The best way right now to get it done as quickly as possible would be if each of you would submit a photo. And then, yes, I think that's a great idea. And that way people see, and whether you want not only, let me know how much information, whether you want me to include information about where you work or where they can reach you. That's, but absolutely get your faces on the diversity page on the city website. And we can also do a little deal on the Facebook page. And I don't know how, if when Chief gets back, if maybe he could do a little interview with each of you. He likes to do those little videos, and maybe he could do an interview with each of you, and then it would be like all of you together, but he could then edit those into one little video, and we could put that out.
Oh, that'd be great. So he would reach out to us individually, and then kind of it would be a culmination of Meet the Diversity Advisory Board. I like that. I think that getting our face out there in this time is great.
Once he gets back, I will reach out to him, and we'll start working on getting that done.
Perfect. I think that's everyone who has gone, was able to say, okay, Priya?
I know I'm not on the board, so you guys can cut me off at any time. But in working with College Place, one thing that I think was important is what Donald said is education. We all have implicit bias. We all have it. And if you went and talked to anyone on the street and said, do you think differently about this person because they don't look like you? They're going to say, no, absolutely not. And that's not how we're wired from the time, especially at my age, growing up. So I would suggest some sort of education through real life examples. I kind of equate it with child abuse. We train our doctors and our nurses and our teachers and our counselors to see that which the public doesn't see. And we think that doesn't happen in our community, and it happens. And so I think maybe a goal of educating people to see it, to actually understand what it is. And I think now that we're all stuck at home, it's really hard to get people to come to a community event for education, but they're stuck at home. They might very well want to have that growth and that interaction with other people. So that's just a suggestion.
A webinar or some kind of education. One of the things I had on my list was provide community-wide training to teach residents why diversity and inclusion is valuable. Um, because we hear those words so much that it's kind of like the buzzword of the day. And it's kind of what I keep going back to. What is diversity? What does it mean to be inclusive? What does it mean to have implicit bias? Those may be, it may be the first time you hear those words, but it may not be. It may be the words you hear a lot and maybe not have the entire knowledge base. So I really like that idea of providing education. I was thinking city and city, I know police officers already get this kind of training, but even looking into what that training looks like, I'd be interested in when I talk to, or when we get to talk to the captain or the chief, sorry. Um, Kaylin.
Sorry, that sparked another thought for me. I think that one thing that I want us to kind of all be on the same page about is the idea that we might be wrong in our thoughts and the things that we say. And so I think that our city really needs, I mean, our country, our world, however big you want to make it, right? But our city really needs to understand that it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to gain more knowledge and to adjust maybe previous thinkings that we might have had. And I mean, that's what kids, we train kids to do that, but at some point in our lives, we decide that we don't want to learn anymore and we're not okay with the embarrassment of being wrong. And so I think that as a board specifically, and something that I want us to try to instill in our community is that we are going to be wrong sometimes. We're going to learn new things, and that's okay. And being able to change our minds is important.
That's excellent. That's well said. One of the things I wrote down as everyone was talking was to be an example, for this board to be an example and kind of lead in terms of what diversity and inclusion means. And one of the things that came to my mind was having the pictures on the website, but also, talking about what pronouns are and having our pronouns on our meetings. So next to our name, having, do we identify as she, her, hers? Maybe there are folks who don't. Maybe there's folks who identify as they, or what. It's kind of making that more, what's it called? Normalizing it and letting folks know that it's okay to be wrong. Kind of like you said, Kaylin, it's okay to ask somebody, I'm sorry, I don't know how you identify. And right now in the virtual world, it's even more important because you can just be seeing someone and making assumptions about them when you've never met them in person or you don't know anything about them. And so if you have any ideas for how we can be the models, I'm happy to kind of take those down and make them work, as far as I keep saying our council, our board. Um, yeah. Any other thoughts about goals? Okay. Can we go back to the agenda and see? I don't remember if there was anything else on there.
I don't have a hand to raise for some reason, maybe because I'm a co-host, Lisa. I don't know. But so I'd like to raise my hand. One thing we would like to see is we do panel interviews for hiring our police officers. And so Chief Damaris and I talked about potentially having one of you guys on our interview panels when we interview police officers. So maybe keep that in the back of your mind as to something maybe one or more of you'd be interested in.
Okay, so that was business. That was the business. It was purpose and goals. So I like the idea of coming back. Elisa, will you send out? Do you send out the minutes in the packet? Is that right?
That's
So
correct.
we'll be able to
No.
take. Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just
Sergeant, your mic is on. Sergeant
I
Parker,
don't
your mic
have
is on.
Okay.
I didn't want to hear
I'm like-
anything. I did want to add one more thing, and I didn't think it fit in purpose and goals.
Okay.
But I think it's really important that at the beginning of our meetings that we do a land acknowledgement. And I have one that's written up that I am planning on using in my own classroom. And I can forward that on to Lisa, and she can blind carbon copy everybody in it. And we can see maybe if next meeting it's something that we approve of. So I think it's really important to acknowledge where we are and from whom we've benefited.
That's excellent. I love that. I think the acknowledgement could come before the consent agenda on our upcoming. Does that make sense? Maybe, Lisa?
Absolutely.
Okay, because that wouldn't need any action. It's just kind of the acknowledgement of land. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That'd be great if you, yeah, send it to Lisa and she could send it to us, BCC'd.
Sorry, everybody. That was my daughter's mom.
That's okay. We didn't want to hear anything that was not meant for our ears.
She was just coming to pick her up, and I had to take the call real quick. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay. Anything else that anybody else would like to say? Closing remarks? And then if there are none, I can get a motion for to adjourn.
I move we adjourn. This is Walt Miskey.
Okay. Walt moves that we adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Ruben seconds. All in favor of adjourning the meeting at 4:40 p.m. Say aye.
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 So nice to meet everyone.
Opposed? Oh.
Sorry.
Awesome. All right. Meeting is adjourned.
So nice to meet everyone.
Nice meeting you as well.
Nice to meet you guys.
I am looking forward to meeting you all in person.
Good luck, teachers.
Yes,
we're
good
gonna
luck
need
to the
it.
teachers, educationers.
My stepmother is a dean of students. My
Oh,
sister's a
great.
teacher. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You're a brave man. You're
I
all
know.
brave.
It's a new position too, and I'm like, oh man. So
Yep. They're all in your hands.
yeah.
No pressure.
Good luck, guys.
No pressure.
Bye.
Bye.
Like everybody.
Bye.